Hello and welcome my friend for yet another video on my channel Talk Algeria. In this video we're gonna react to the Shahid Nelson doctor speaking about the West and what's happening over there. So without further ado, without any introduction, let's just hear the man speaking the truth.
After you posted some excerpts from our interviews, your online profile has risen rather dramatically. I think your following across social media has probably more than doubled over the past 10 days or so. Why do you think those excerpts gained so much traction, and how do you feel about it?
Ambivalent. I'm ambivalent about it. Anytime that I've experienced something like this in the past, any sort of degree of relatively widespread notoriety or attention online, it's led to real world consequences, real world problems. Obviously, that's what generated the whole online internet smear campaign against me in the first place. The character assassination, the slander and the lies and so on. And all of that has real life consequences. So there's a degree of unease, I'll say. But how I feel is irrelevant. I think that those videos resonated with a lot of people because it reflects the fact that there is a worldwide change underway, and not just among Muslims, and not even just among the people of the global South. People all over the world, including in the West itself, are recognizing that Western civilization is a failure. They're realizing that it is corrupt, that it is hypocritical, that it is immoral, that it is tyrannical and psychopathic. Now, most of the Muslim world and the global South has known this for a long time, and a lot of people in the lower class.
Now, that is true. We know that the Western leaders, to be honest, are sick in the mind. I mean, the amount of destruction they are spreading around the world and pretending that there's nothing is happening and blaming people. I mean, there is a leak that the United States is the one who's armed and create Al-Qaeda, whatever you name it. So, and they like, it's like a dog, they raise, feed and train to attack other people. And when the dog do, you blame the people that got beaten by it. Why? Because it's your dog. Anything happened to him is gonna relate it to you. This is how we're seeing things. We know that United States are the one who orchestrated the downfall of the Iraq. We know that Western are the one who orchestrated the downfall of Libya and so many other countries. And we are so surprised by the people of the West. I mean, they don't see it. They are now, after what happened in the United States with Donald Trump, when they try to do the same things to him as they used to do here in our country and is in the other countries around the world, in Asia or in Africa. And when they try to do this to him, his supporter, like, the gotcha moment, and they start realizing that what's happening is rather sickening. And also the war the big war that is happening today. I'm not trying to say the name of the war or anything. I don't want to get my channel a strike or anything. I just started this channel. It's the second video for me, so I don't want to get anything. I'm saying the obvious thing, and I'm not accusing the United States of anything. I'm just saying what is being repeated on some platforms or are well known. Doctors are saying, and political figures are saying this. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just repeating to you what is going on. So Let's continue.
In the West have also known it for a long time. And certainly black people in America never didn't know it. But because the neoliberal system, the neo-imperialist system, you can say, is now treating even the Western lands as lands for conquest, lands to conquer. And now people in America and Europe are themselves feeling the subjugation that their civilization imposed all around the world. Now it's happening to them, writ large. There are millions and millions of people in the West who now want nothing to do with Western civilization anymore. They realize that it's rotten and that it's always been rotten. They realize that even the moral values and principles, so-called, that they were taught, emerged from the Enlightenment, were actually stolen from someone else. They were stolen from other cultures. They were stolen from other civilizations.
Yes, about the power, he said that the Western people start realizing that they won't have nothing to do with this, this thing that is happening with their countries, and they figured out that what their country are doing to the other countries, and they don't want anything to do with that, with them. I'm sorry. Yes. So let me give you an example for this. If you raise a bad child, it's just a matter of time until he will, turn against you and do you wrong. Because when you are in the 40s, in the 50s, you are strong, you're still strong. But when you reach 70s and, almost 80, you will discover how bad you raised this child. It's exactly the same thing happening in the West. When the West was strong in freedom and politically and economically, the people of that land didn't feel how oppressed their country is, what they did to other countries. But now, when they got a little bit weaker, they can't do what they used to do to other countries. They can wage wars and genocide all over the continent of Africa and Asia and all over the world. They don't have the capability to do it. They don't have the money. They don't have the military capability, and also the military capability have changed. The method of wars have changed. It's not like that's depending of weapons that other countries that doesn't have. So the power have been now every country have some power to defend itself and have allies. They can give her weapon and supply her with weapons to make a problem to anyone to invade her. And we see United States in Afghanistan and also in Vietnam. It's not something come out from nowhere. The people of Vietnam were heavily supported by by Soviet Union, weapons, training, and there weren't like random peasants running around with weapons trying to kill Americans. No, they were trained, they were well equipped to fight the Americans in guerrilla wars. And the Americans, the overwhelming power of America, they couldn't keep up with these guerrilla wars because it came from nowhere, out of nowhere, hit and deliver damage and disappear. And when you go after him, another ambush coming on the way, because they prepare another ambush, because when they attacking any group of soldiers, they put in count of those soldiers is gonna come after us and we're gonna do booby traps and ambush here and there, so they can weaken you more and more. This tactics is as General Scott Ritter say it better than me, dying with 1,000 cut. Now let's continue listening to my man here.
Particularly from the Muslims. So this civilization, Western civilization, is like an identity thief pretending to be what it isn't. It's an imposter. It's a thug wearing the clothes of a nobleman, or more accurately, it's a criminal dressed up like a policeman. And you've got a lot of real criminals dressed up like policemen over there. But as I said, across the global south, among the long standing victims of the West, obviously none of this is a revelation. And it's not something new to Muslims, certainly. But there are a few things that are different now. Today, there's a sense that the West and that America is imploding. So the people in the global south and the Muslim world are seeing that their tormentor is starting to show weakness, is starting to look weak. And all he ever had over us was power. It was only his power that made people be quiet. It was only power that made everyone in the world nod their heads whenever he spoke. But now there's a glimmer of hope because they're starting to see weakness. Every crack and fracture that you see in Western society, you have to understand, from the perspective of the global south and from the perspective of the Muslim world, every crack and fracture in Western society is like a crack and a fracture in the wall of a prison cell, and you start to see daylight peeking through those cracks.
Yes, this is exactly what is happening, especially for the last maybe 10 years. With China, Russia, and a lot of other countries are, starting to build their and Iran. They tried to be a superpower as well. Why? Yeah, because the United States, it is not the United States that used to be. They are, they are not like weak, but they can't wage more wars. So they know that if we start building ourselves and making ourselves stronger and make lethal weapons, we know that they will not come to fight us because it's gonna be a heavy price that they cannot pay anymore. They done with wars. Now they want to do it with sanctions. And they are fine with sanctions, actually. As you see, Iran has accepted those sanctions for years now. And you see with the Russia, they overcome the sanction, and they find a new supplier, a new buyer, a new, customer for their oil and gas. And we see China now trying to dump the US dollars because they've seen what the United States have done to Russia, seizing $400 billion worth of money from Russia because, Russia invaded another country. Well, we are not talking about if is it right or wrong. I'm against wars. Wherever this war is, I'm for justice, peace, and prosperity. But if you invade Afghanistan and Iraq with no reason, you said that Iraq has a mass destruction, a weapon of mass destruction, with Iran is helping Al Qaeda, which is, as I said before, some political figures are saying that is a creation of the West. If you have done these things and no one puts you accountable for this, why you think you can do this to Russia, a massive superpower in nuclear terms? And yes, they are now see it that the United States and the West in general, they cannot wage wars anymore, at least in this period of time. And they trying to seize the moment. And when the West and the United States will finally, if they make themselves again really superpower, they can fight. It will be too late. Too many countries will have nuclear weapons. So waging war against them will mean the end of the civilization that we know it. So, and maybe they will make another paying system, other the SWIFT, with this, which is a United States European system, where you have to make deals through their bankers. So a lot of things will happen for the next years to come. So sit tight.
And that's different. That's not something that we've seen before until now. And everyone in the world is seeing it at the same time. So there's as a result of that, there's a revival of confidence in the global South countries and in the Muslim world. There's less and less inclination to capitulate to the West and to try to emulate the West and to want Western approval. And there's greater and greater inclination to try to move forward independently. So I think that's probably why those videos resonated, or seem to have resonated with a lot of people. And for Muslims specifically, we're just tired, For at least the last 20 to 30 years, you've been bullying us with the label extremist, telling us which kind of Islam was going to be all right with you.
Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you put yourself in a high standard of freedom, liberty, and free choice. I mean, you give the woman the right to kill her own baby. You give now in Canada, they are given the right to people to end their existence through medical treatment. So if someone, I don't want to live anymore. At least this was what I have read. I don't know if it is 100% true or not, but I'm probably sure about 80%. So if you do have this, these rights, and when you come to Muslim world, they want to be ruled by the Sharia law, by our God guidance. Now, if a country decide to do a poll or a vote, would you want to, your constitution be the Sharia law? And the people of that land decided, yes, we want our constitution to be, according to Islam. And you came and go, no, this is oppression. Who the heck are you? You're not invited in this poll or in this, vote to have a say in it. So why do you think that your opinion matters? Now, if we continue this down path, we will, go to war economically or militarily against the so-called civilized world. So, yes, they see Islam is a threat to their existence, and we also see you are a threat to our existence. You are trying to keep us down. You are trying to keep us, reliable to you. So, what's going on?
Even while you were invading our countries, bombing our cities, killing our families, somehow you were still able to bully us into thinking that we were the violent ones. The West was like a murderer who stabs someone and gets the victim's blood all over his own clothes, and then he starts screaming, help, help, I'm bleeding. You were covered in our blood, but acted like you were the one who was bleeding. And we bent over backwards. For the last 20 years at least, Muslims have been bending over backwards to try to assure you. And you tricked us with the promise of acceptance and approval. And acceptance and approval from you meant that maybe you wouldn't bomb us. Maybe you wouldn't lock us up in Guantanamo Bay. So you tricked us into thinking that we had to conform to your values, to your principles, just to prove to you that we were civilized people who deserve not to be bombed and not to be locked up in Guantanamo Bay.
I've seen a debate. I don't remember the names, but the one is interested to me. I think his name is Alexander. He's a YouTuber. He have a channel on YouTube. I think he's an influencer. He said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I'm gonna summarize for you guys. So he said, it cannot be, it will not work with a multipolar world. Why? Because in a multipolar world, eventually the civilization will come to fight to see who will dominate the other. And he said, what if the Russian have, you know, dominated this world, or the Chinese? He said to the Western world, of course, not to us, to the Western world, are you ready to accept the communists as your standards? They will impose their culture on you. And he was like making the West people afraid of this action, and he's have every right to be. But what about you imposing your culture and your point of view of life on us? I've seen a lot of media journalists going to Africa asking about homosexual people and what the leaders will do to ensure their safety and so on and so forth. And do you have like a policy to accept them and to, you know, to allow gay marriage? And who you think you are? Why you're trying to impose what you think is right for you, not for other countries? Other countries have their own problem to deal with. They have their own heritage, their own culture. Why you do what you do? You want, you know, to dismiss all that and impose your culture, impose your point of view on them. And when you afraid this will happen to you by the Chinese or the Russian, you panic. I think, you know. So guys, we'll stop, so we will not get, you know, a warning from YouTube to showing a content. So this is what we call the fair use of a content, showing a little bit of it, not all of it, but a little bit. We, you know, pause the video so we can discuss it, and we will do the next part in the next video. If you like this video, don't forget, if you like my channel and my podcast, don't mind my English. It will, you know, it will improve with time, but in the meantime, don't be angry about me or of me. So with that, we are coming to the end of this this video. So stay tuned and stay safe, and goodbye.